Welcome to Firecat First Friday. The system probably muted you. Uh, this is first day in May. It seems too soon.
Yeah, how did that happen?
All right. But May Day, so let's go. And
Yeah.
I welcome you all. My name is Susan Price, and I am the CEO of Firecat Studio. We are a experience design consultancy. We help build products and experiences that people want to use. And I am very delighted to welcome Daniella Matutes to be our presenter today. And she's going to introduce herself, but we've known each other for 15, 20 years, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Please don't date us. We've known each other for like 3 years.
Uh-huh. Anyway, um, we're very excited about AI technologies, helping our clients adopt them and vet them and understand their limitations as well as the big benefits. So I'm glad you're here today. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. And it's good to see some faces. We just moved back to San Antonio after like a 14-year absence from here to care for my 98-year-old Cuban mother-in-law. And we're actually living in my husband's childhood home with her. So we're here, and I think we brought the rain with us. So I'm pretty excited about that. We've been here for about a month. And thanks for having me, Susan. It's so good to be here. Yeah, so I'm Daniella Matutes, and I'm writing a book called Embodiment Under Hierarchy. And I'm using AI as my thought partner. So maybe hearing that sentence together, that I'm writing a book about embodiment and using AI, something that doesn't have a body, as a thought partner, might cause a little maybe confusion, conflict. And if it does, you and I are going to get along well today, because that's where I'm starting from, is this contradiction of that I feel like most of us have. I have something inside of me that I want to get out. It may have been there for, in my case, decades. And I'm not sure how to use the tools that are available to me now in maybe an ethical way or a creative way to let the world know what I'm up to. So my book is about women in hierarchy. It's called Embodiment Under Hierarchy. And this book is slow. It's about the body. My tone is honey and gravel. And I'm writing it alongside these tools that are designed to be agreeable in structures of hierarchy. So that contradiction is where I'd like to enter in. So why me? Why listen to me on this? So I've been in product and tech for 25 years. I know I don't look like I could have been in it for that long, but I started when I was 10. So yeah. Um, I've been in a lot of rooms. In fact, I met Susan in a room at USAA. We worked together at USAA, or tangentially through USAA, where women were thought to be winning. And we're told, hey, Rebecca, we're told that we are needed in these rooms and that we're doing great in these rooms. So I've been in that space for 25 years, and alongside I was living like a double life the whole time. I was going to trauma resolution conferences. I was taking breathwork trainings. I was going into somatic therapy trainings. And overall, over the last couple decades, I've gotten 42 different certifications between somatics, trauma resolution, and human-centered design. So, and product design. So I've learned a lot, and I have a wide synthesis of where my ideas have come from. In 2019, Blue Cross hired me to create one of the first AI products in healthcare. It was a conversational chatbot on their member app. And then in 2022, Paylocity hired me to create their entire product suite of AI tools. We launched their first and most successful product in October 2024, and I abruptly left and retired from corporate America. So here I am, and I'm writing this book, and I'm teaching, and I'm consulting. So yeah, those are some of the reasons I'm here today, some of the reasons I'm writing this book. And so most importantly, why does this matter to you? Yeah, so you probably have something inside of you, like I said earlier, that you want to get out. A book, a podcast, a methodology, a body of work. And you're probably wondering, how do I use AI in a way that it doesn't sound like everybody else's, or in a way that's ethical, or in a way that actually helps the creative rigor that you might apply elsewhere in your life. So can it help you do this? Absolutely yes. And that's what I'm going to show you today. And why I'm writing this book is because it's my soul's work. So this isn't some project that is initially thought of just to be a marketing of my work. This is the book that I feel that I'm here to write. And I am, I'll be honest, a queer, neurodivergent systems thinker. And I have had decades to think about this book. And so I have thousands and thousands of pages of written material already, hundreds of hours of transcripts in working with women, thousands of hours of voice notes that I take when I'm on my hike. So there's been lots of inputs into this book over the years. And this is something that matters to me deeply, right? So I really push back on any idea that a tool is going to take over my voice or write something for me. I don't want it to write it for me. I don't want to generate a book from prompts. That's not what this talk is about. This talk is about how to use these tools as a way to hone in on a research-based book about embodiment that's very important to me. So hierarchy shapes the way, one of the theses in my book, the theses, is hierarchy shapes the way we all feel in our body. And part of using the AI tools helps me figure out what my relationship is to my body and what kind of relationship I wanted with these tools. So yeah, the workflow is incredibly important for that reason. The question this workflow answers is, how do I use these AI tools to support a book, right? Whose entire premise is to be in your body. All right, so, and as a product thinker, I want to let you know the criteria I've used to pick the tools that I use. So the first criteria is, does the tool work with what I already have? So I had, like I said, thousands of pages that I have put in Confluence. Long ago, about 5 years ago, I decided as a product thinker that I was going to put my book in Confluence because it's a wiki and I can search it and I can self-reference and I can put my research notes at the bottom of the wiki page and then link it to the actual study. So I have, I don't know, the last time I looked, it's thousands of pages in Confluence of my work. So the tool doesn't generate from prompts for me. The tool generates from my existing material, which I'm going to show you here in a minute. The second criteria, do the tools, the tool set, the workflow, does it let me stay in control of my structure? I have a 4-part architecture, 15 chapters, and a methodology named with frameworks. There's 130 words, 130,000 words that are going to come out of me for this book. I wanted a tool that could hold the structure and help me stay locked in to continuity, because the way my brain works, I'm synthesizing patterns and I'm not always consistent with how those patterns show up or how I talk about them, which is actually a benefit. And I'm actually using AI to help me stay on task while also expanding my writing and my thought generation. The third criteria as a product thinker, does the tool respect my voice or does it try to override it? So this is the thing you'll see, it tries to override it. It doesn't matter what tool we use and how many instructions we give it, it will try to override your voice. So part of my process that I've put into the workflow is pushback, and we'll talk about that more. Number 4 is, does this tool have persistent memory across sessions? So Susan was talking about this earlier. She is used to working with ChatGPT. She's given it instructions and it generally follows the instructions that she gives, but is having trouble doing the same in Claude. I'm going to show you how I keep persistent memory in Claude Cowork using a project structure. So it does have persistent memory across the sessions. The fifth criteria is, does the tool let me push back when it's wrong and adjust? And it does, and I'll show you that as well. So I picked 3 tools that I'm going to show you today, actually 4 that I'm going to show you today. Confluence, which is the memory and project management layer. Cowork, Claude Cowork, which is the workspace and build environment. Claude inside Cowork, the chat, which is a thought partner. And then the integration that I've set up to work with all these together. I also use Perplexity for research, and I'll be showing you that too. So before I jump into the demo and share my screen, do I have any questions?
I have one question.
Yeah.
And it's for the group, not for you.
Okay.
Who all has already used Claude? And what other tools are you using? Just real briefly, maybe put them in the chat, just so Daniela has a sense of where you guys are starting.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to start sharing my primarily ChatGPT. How about, has anyone used Claude Cowork yet? Can you come off and let me know, or in the chat, unmute? If it's easier for me to unmute.
Gemini, Rebecca.
Okay. So first thing I want to say, if you can see my screen, it looks like you can, is that I am in Cowork. Yeah, I'm in Cowork, not chat. So that's the first thing I'd like to point out here. And I'm going to go into my settings to show you some of the things I've done. So Claude Cowork has extensions and connectors. Connectors that I've installed is a connection to Confluence. So as soon as I want it to, it asks me every time, it will publish what I'm working on directly into my Confluence site. I also have it in Chrome, which is included. And I am working on the desktop app. So it does have access to my computer, which is a consideration. Each project can have instructions, which I'll show you here. So this is for the project. I put in my voice and tone. I put in information about the reader. I put in who I am and what the project is in these instructions. And then underneath here, you can see that I have a research plan, my daily writing task that I have scheduled. So within Claude Cowork, you can also schedule tasks right here. And it also tells you the persistent memory context is from this folder where all of my documents around this book reside. It also, like I said, connects to Confluence, and so it can read the documents I have in there. So I'm going to go into this here. The recording has stopped. Did we lose?
I'm here trying to troubleshoot.
Okay. Would you like me to stop, or would you like
No.
me to keep going?
Hang on just a second.
Okay.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So I had a template for chapter briefs that I gave in my instructions to Claude Cowork. So what I came with is my book outline. So I had a core premise of the book in one sentence, the promise of the book, structure overview, and I spent some time on this outline. I spent probably 2 months developing my outline in an old-fashioned way. I put out note cards on a wall, and I connected them with string in my product thinking way with sticky notes. The whole structure of the book was on my wall. What I did then was take with voice notes. I basically read the wall into my voice notes and phone, put it into Otter, transcribed it, and then worked for 2 months roughly to come up with this very detailed book outline. So you can see here, there are different chapters and sections that I've really gone into. There's a subtitle, what it opens with, the key arguments. So I also have a vocabulary that I'm introducing in this book that Claude Cowork is helping me keep in place. So we call that a vocabulary lock. So there's words that I want to use and words that I don't want to use. And Claude keeps me honest when I use or don't use them. So I came to Claude Cowork with this outline, and all of these assets that I have here in the folder that it references anytime I do any work. So I'm going to stop there and ask how many people have set up a project in Claude before.
Me.
Okay. Did you set up the persistent memory in a folder?
Yes, in some cases, and in some cases not. Depends on the size. I'm an information architect at heart, and I have to organize things in folders. It's just how
yes. Okay. So even doing that, and when telling Claude Cowork what to do, you were having trouble with it following instructions?
Yes. Yes. I will
Okay.
tell it to in multiple places. Like there's a settings place where you can say, every time you talk to me, don't overwhelm me with walls of text. Give me one response at a time. If we're in a multi-step process, give me one step at a time. And it routinely just breaks the rule.
Have you created MD files?
Yes.
Okay. And it still keeps breaking the rules?
I'm not sure. I'm going to take a note to go try that again.
Yeah. So
I don't want to derail us. You keep going.
No. I'm trying to figure out like how deeply to go into creating these different files, or if I can just keep it at a surface level for connections to Confluence, which is what I think I'm going to do. So I set up the project, as you saw. And again, we're in Cowork, projects, embodiment under hierarchy. I have a daily writing task. Let's go there and check out what I did yesterday. So I have a task that at the end of every day, it tells me what I did. And then it also tells me what to do next based on the outline and materials I have. And what would be beneficial now is to show you the continuity log that I published to Confluence, or have Claude Cowork published to Confluence also at the end of every day or project milestone. So here is the continuity log. And this is one of the most fascinating things I think that I've figured out in this process so far. So it does reference these documents in my Confluence page anytime I ask it to do something. So there's an about me and a voice profile. So let's take a look at the voice profile. So this is not an MD file. This is actually something that's referenced in Confluence by Claude Cowork anytime I ask it to do anything, which goes through and stipulates my foundational posture in a rhetorical anchor sort of way as a writer. It talks about what my tone blend is. It has a register map and 10 voice markers for everything that I do. And although I'm not having Claude generate, it's not generating any of the actual book material, having it know my voice and where I'm coming from helps when I push back on, let's say, when it creates a chapter brief for me. It's not actually writing the book, it's outlining what to write for the book, but it has my voice as a reference point here in this canonical voice document and instructions for the book and book Bible, and also the continuity log. So the point here is I have lots of ways to make sure that Claude is following instructions that are generative and in my voice rather than flattening and discarding what I want to say. The next thing I can show you
Can you
is
pause
when
for a second?
Yeah.
I want to check in and see if anybody has any questions. And
Yeah.
the one bit of grounding that the folks who haven't used Claude and CoWork might have is what's the difference between them? And you guys feel
Claude
free
and
to ask additional questions
Yeah,
at
yeah,
this
yeah.
point if we're getting ready to move into another section. Do y'all understand that difference already? The difference between Claude and CoWork, which are both by the same company, Anthropic?
So it's chat is one way to interact. CoWork is another way to interact. And within CoWork, I'm using a project, which is a very specific way to use Claude CoWork because there is a persistent memory that I'm giving it between the Confluence documents that I'm showing you, the MD documents that I have created, and this folder on my computer. So it's a reading from my computer, referencing everything that I've put in here as it works with me through the book, which is why it can keep an updated continuity log that was updated April 28th, the last time I did a lot of work on the book, that helps me make sure that I'm positioned right, that helps me keep track of my case studies, that also helps me keep track of my foundational posture in the book, that can self-reference between these different artifacts as I'm working with it. So really, I'm using AI as an editor, a thought partner, and a research partner, because the book is grounded in research, which I will show you also. And there's so much that I've relied on Professor Vanderfolk, Stacey Haynes. There are great thinkers and people who have gone really far in this work before I came along that I definitely want to attribute. And there's a lot give attribution to. And there's also a lot of research that's recently been done that I am referencing, which is also in the Confluence site. So one way that I'm using Perplexity in this as well is I have a research scan set up for every Thursday. It goes through, I gave it the parameters of what research I wanted it to look for every week. And then it publishes the research scan to Confluence that then CoWork has as a reference manual as well. As I write, it can tell me what research papers it's referencing when I'm writing about my framework. Because as I said, my book, my way of thinking is so synthesis driven that I'm not always going to catch when I'm referring to someone else's model, but Claude CoWork is helping me do that. So for instance, I can give a for instance. Stacey Haynes wrote about somatic, what happens in our bodies. Audre Lorde wrote about this. Many people have written about this. And Stacey Haynes has a whole book about and research about how what happens outside of us in these systems of power of hierarchy shows up in our body, and it's intergenerational. So for instance, the fact that women couldn't have a bank account on their own until the 1970s, there's a generational inheritance that women have in their bodies based on what the culture has provided or not provided for us. My book is heavily influenced by her thought, and sometimes I will neglect, not on purpose, but because I'm moving so quickly in writing the book, to attribute what she's given to my model. I've created a way that Claude CoWork double checks me on all of that. I have a research plan. I have her listed as a major influence on the book. And in this continuity log, as well as the research plan, we will go back and forth and make sure that the attribution exists in the book and in my thought process as I'm working through writing the book. So I'm going to stop there
Any other
and see.
questions
Yeah.
that have bubbled up in your head?
I personally, I'm curious about your thoughts around like privacy in Claude Cowork. Like my kind of rudimentary understanding is like Claude Chat is going to be web hosted versus Claude Cowork is going to be locally hosted or has access to local files, right? Like you're saying, it's connecting into other files. So just kind of creeps me out from like a privacy standpoint. So I haven't gone through with that. What do you guys, how do you feel about that, or do I have that wrong?
No, you don't have it wrong. So one of the questions I expected was this is, are you worried about the internet and AI being trained on your proprietary work? And for me right now, the trade-off is worth it. I'll just say it as plainly as that. So yes, I'm worried about it. Yes, I'm wondering how my proprietary framework will end up out in the ethers, if somebody else will take it and run with it, if it will be used in some thought leadership that isn't my own. And yes, I think that will probably happen in the next year or two. And for me, because this book is so important and it's, something that really matters to me, that cost benefit analysis is worth it for me right now. I don't know that it would be after I write this book.
And thank you for that. Is it that you've only given it access to the files via Atlassian, or it literally has like access to your desktop memory space and other
It
files?
has access to this file on my desktop, not my whole desktop,
Okay.
this folder, the book, all
That's
of
a
these
great
files.
question. You can target what it can see on your computer.
Mhm. Yep.
Because I in a similar sort of situation, not exactly, it is about privacy between my clients.
Yes.
Like I don't want me working on client A and all of a sudden it sees client B content and confuses or interjects or steal, whatever.
Right.
I think we have to
The-
be ultra cautious and conservative of what we give it access to. I've never given it anything but a copy of a file, for example, because once you go into Cowork and it has ability to write to your hard disk or write to your Google Workspace.
or your Confluence.
Right. It's not so good at version control. And I think that's part of the reason
Yeah.
Daniela does a log. And
Yep.
then another question, just riffing here. The log that you use, is that a memory management and context resetting tool? Because one of the things I'm running into, I'm doing the $100 a month version, and still, I think part of my difficulty is I'm giving it too long of a thing to keep track of in one go.
So
I mean-
I think that's where I'm confused about what you're experiencing, because look at all that I'm giving it. This is what I give it. And it is the persistent memory, because I give it access to my desktop and the folders and the Confluence. There's never a time that I've not received exactly what I want in the voice that I want it to have. And I think it's because, right, I've spent a lot of time creating instructions for it that it references every single time it does a thing for me. So
I think I'm confusing Cowork and chat is what I think.
I think you are. Yeah. So that's the whole thing is that's what I did in the beginning. I'm not in chat. That's what this looks like. I am in Cowork.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Layman's difference between the two.
Chat is you ask it a question. It's a task-based, you ask it a question, it references, it's what you're used to using ChatGPT or any AI tool for. Cowork is an outcome-based, project-based. Think about it that you can create a place inside of AI and give it directives to come to an outcome that you want based on your instructions. The chat functionality in Claude can do that, but it limits out on contextual memory because everyone's using it. So there are hard limits on how much context it will allow you to keep in any one session.
So that's the whole idea, is that the cowork is focusing
Right.
your boundaries on content and scope, etc. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And
Thank you.
and rules and voice and continuity and all the
All the
yeah,
controls you want, right?
all the controls I want. Right.
It's
Right.
confusing. I will, go ahead and reveal myself as ignorant in some ways because you can chat in Cowork.
Yeah, that's what I'm showing you. So this is the desktop client.
But that
And
that
here's-
chat is done with the context of the content of that cowork. It's not done with the global context
That's what
that you would
Daniella's
get
thinking
in
my,
chat.
yeah,
my
Right.
pain
Yeah.
stems from. Yes.
Right.
Right. So here I am in the project, and I could do a chat right here in the project. In fact, that's what these are. So the research plan that I wanted to show you, I said, let's come up with a research plan as my demo. I already had done this, but I wanted to show everyone. Let's come up with a research plan for all the thesis and framework postulations for this book. Reference these documents and any other work we've done together. So I gave it some clear documents to reference. So it gave me a progress task list. One way to know that you're in Cowork rather than chat is this progress task list. If you're seeing, hey, I asked it to do something and it's showing me its progress with check marks, you're in Cowork. So then it is referencing my instructions, right? And I asked it to publish it to Confluence. So then it asked me some questions. What shape should the research plan take? I answered that. Where should the plan live when finished? How should the plan handle the existing 26 thesis lists in section J of the Thought Partner version 3 document? Which thesis tiers are you prioritizing for validation effort? So then it went through and it did its thing. And then it published on my Confluence my research plan. It told me what cross-references in Confluence, that's hard to say, it used. And then it's telling me how to use the document and what format the meta plan is in and how expert read, because that's one thing I'm considering is having someone who's an expert in nervous system and polyvagal theory to come in and read to make sure I'm not overstating anything or understating anything. And then here's what I was talking about earlier. Another question I've had as I've written the book, because it's so research-based and it does lean so heavily on other thought leaders, how am I going to do this right? And we've come up with together, I use the chat function inside the project of Cowork. So I was in the project and I was doing a chat and I asked it what would be the appropriate way to handle that without taking away from my writing. So we came up with an appendix structure, and there will be 4 different types of appendices for the reader to find out attribution and how to go deeper with the topics. It also, in the research plan, gave me constraints, operational sequencing. So again, I hope I'm being able to show you that in no way is Claude writing this book for me. Cowork is not writing the book. Cowork is helping my very nonlinear, neurodivergent brain come up with ways to take what I know and put it in a book that is properly written and attributed and coherent and congruent and has continuity throughout.
And
So any
earlier
questions?
you said, let me just restate something that I thought was just brilliant. You gave it the rules that you want and intend to follow in
Yes.
your own writing. But what I loved about it was that you said, and I reserve the right to break my own rules any damn time I want.
Yep.
Tell me when I'm doing it.
Yep. That's
And maybe we'll iterate my rules or maybe we won't. But at least it's like an accountability partner.
Yes.
What you said and you intend to do.
I was just going to say that accountability and keeping track of all the threads, the strings
Yes.
on your
And
physical. Yeah.
yeah, what's really been cool and generative is when I push back on it, it pushes back on me. And so I'm actually able to deepen my own understanding around my own framework when I'm answering its questions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or when I reference someone's research study and I'm like, this feels very important to me, and I don't think that I have captured its importance. So this morning, based on the research that returned to me on introception and the way that in hierarchical systems, when we're being objectified as people, which we are, all people in this system are, and women are specifically objectified, although it is becoming more equal, how we lose the ability to understand how our body is feeling. So there's it's called neuroception. The ability to understand our own felt sense lessens the more we're objectified by culture. And that is not a core thesis in my book, but it's so tangentially related that I was like, oh, this belongs. And so I asked for follow-up and went and read the research studies. And then I brought it back to my outline and my chapter briefs, and I'm weaving it in today. That'll be the project I work on after we're done here. And I would not be able to do this and have any continuity, because as you can see, my brain goes, oh, this belongs. And I go and I deep dive, and now I'm out and back and up and down, and I'm writing and I'm voice noting, and it's going quickly. There's no way that I could follow up, as McD said, on all those threads without the help of AI.
So
So
it
I
helps you
really-
see, oh, here's a rabbit hole. This is a productive rabbit hole, but here's where it fits.
Yeah, that's
Right.
exactly right. How many times have I gotten lost in my own rabbit hole to find out that was a waste of time? Or, holy cow, this just blossomed a whole nother thing I didn't even think about, you know.
Right.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I don't want to get to this is I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sure.
This is
We're
awesome.
excited. We're excited.
Yeah. So what are you using to find research? I'm so glad you asked. I love Perplexity, and I have a weekly task where it goes out and it finds research for me on TikTok, everywhere, published research out on the webs, and then gives me the links. So remember, I was telling you, Stacey Haynes, The Politics of Trauma, Somatic Healing, and Social Justice. So it came back with published books, published research papers, things that would deepen, right? Throwing like a girl. This is one of the things that I read early in my research and loved, and it has influenced the book quite a bit. And it gave me a link to it. So I downloaded it and I put it in my folder because I hadn't yet. That now the project will reference as I finish creating my chapter briefs. So that's the next thing I'm going to jump into, is a chapter brief structure. Unless I thought I heard a question.
I have a brief question on that. Just on the organizational, you said you saved this piece down to your PC.
Yeah.
It seems like you're like me, that you have the heavy folder structure and all that kind of stuff. Can you just dump it in a thing and let it manage that organization? You know how freeing would it be to not have to worry about that anymore, is my point.
Yes, I don't worry about it. This is,
oh my God.
This is, yeah. So part of the rules.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, the part of the rules that I have is that it's a self-organizing system. So I'm not wasting any of my time trying to organize things for this process.
Well, okay, and I'm a very nitpicky organizer. How well does it do?
So far, so good. I'm probably not as nitpicky as you are. So you might want to spend a little more time on your instructions and your MD files. But
right, and double checking the work, it seems like.
Yeah, and double checking. That's really important.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So chapter briefs. I had a template for chapter briefs. And what I did was give it the chapter brief template, my outline, and what I wanted to cover. So I had a big voice note file that I uploaded into that folder. And chapter by chapter, I just literally dumped out my thoughts into voice notes, uploaded it all together into the co-work folder, and asked it to start creating chapter briefs for me based on those assets. So I wanted, yeah, the reader state on entering, the reader state on exiting, whatever key frameworks I introduce in it. There's threads that go throughout the book, the political thread, the desire thread, my own personal narrative, any somatic practices that I introduce. I was reading this and getting depressed in my own writing. And so I did a rhetorical analysis of my writing using Claude Cowork. And it was like, it's time to come back in and go through and do a tonal lift across the book, because the material is incredibly heavy, as you can imagine. And while I want this book to be real and frank, I also don't want it to be overwhelming or producing a freeze response in bodies that read it. So it's important to me that each chapter, while it's real and honest and frank, also gives a real sense, or can provide a real sense of possibility in the reader's body. So that was in addition to all these chapter briefs after I did that analysis that Claude Cowork helped do with me. And then here's the continuity about the claims I'm making throughout the book, the promises I'm making to the reader, the examples and scenarios used. Like I said, I have transcripts from thousands of sessions that I've gotten permission for over the years, right? Anytime anyone has a session for me, I have them sign a form and say, hey, I'm going to use this to write my book. Is that okay with you if you're anonymous in the actual information? And for those people who have said yes, I have been able to use those. And I'm not putting them out on the web. I'm leaving them localized to my drive. That's very important for me to say that this isn't available to anyone else. It's only available to me and my work in my book. So that is the chapter brief that it has created for all 16 chapters. And I think I'll go back into Cowork now and look at what the chat looked like as it was creating those different chapter briefs. So it's up further. I use it to write other things as an outline for them. So I'm going to go up further. So as you can see, I'm using this a lot. It tells me where we are and what's still queued for the next session. And I'm just showing this to let you see how I use this in chat to move through my book. So I do want to share one thing that I think is a funny example. Tony Robbins keeps, I almost worked for Tony Robbins in 2002. He keeps DMing me on LinkedIn, as he probably does most of you. It's an AI bot that he's hired and installed to ask us to go to his trainings, right? And so I almost worked for him in 2002, so I'm very familiar with his work. And so I wrote as a joke on social media, hey, Tony keeps emailing me, DMing me to go to his training. What should I say? And I got a lot of really great feedback from my followers about like what you should say to Tony Robbins in this DM. And so I was like, why is this so different from my work? Like his work feels like the antithesis of my work, and why? So I went through and I outlined with me in a voice note first of why it's different. And then I put it into my project and we created a positioning artifact on how my work in embodiment under hierarchy is different from Tony Robbins, which now is influencing the tone of the book only slightly. So this is a real-time way that I've used this tool and this technology to help me position the book in a different way than probably I would have without it. So yeah, we're about 13 minutes left. I made it through my demo. Are there any
I have a
questions?
question.
Yeah.
Can you show that framework of a chapter brief again? I think you
Sure.
showed it, or I was able to sort of suss out what it must be. But
Yeah.
I'd love to see the bone structure of one.
So here's the chapter brief writing instructions.
Title.
This was the template I came up with. Can you see it?
Argument. Yeah. This is so more thoughtful than I would have thought to make it. Did you arrive at this by chatting with Claude?
I wrote, so my normal process applied here. I was like out on a hike, a walk. Hey, I need a chapter brief. If I'm going to write this thing, I need to organize myself in some way around what each, like a product brief, right? So here's the product thinker coming back. I need a product roadmap. I need each part of the product to have a feature brief, which in this is a chapter brief. So then I went back to my own brain about, okay, what helped me in a product brief scenario make a product that the product brief actually helped the product and wasn't just a bunch of paperwork and bureaucracy. So I rattled out all those terms, and you can see them here, right? So like the turn is the keystone moment in an experience for a product. How they come in and how they exit is the same thing we do for product, right? How is the person coming into the interaction, and what are they doing how do they feel? What do they think, right? All of those fun psychographics and empathy map criteria of how they leave it. What is the core task or the core argument? What is the outcome? What are we referencing throughout the rest of the system? So I took my product manager brain, rolled out in a voice note, really seriously disorganized and silly, took it into Otter, uploaded it into the Claude co-work, and worked through this
Refining
brief
it.
template, refining it, and then had it help me write them for all the chapters based on the outline and all the content that I already had.
Okay, a follow-up question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever discovered a chapter that you realized after working on it that it belonged in it with another chapter or in a different order, or wasn't needed
Yes.
at all? Any of that?
Yes.
Like, do you have a checks and balances in
I
your own
do.
process to, like, do you deserve to live chapter?
Yes. So I've done two rhetorical, that process, I call it rhetorical analysis on the book. I've done it twice already. And chapter 10 had that happen, that I restructured because I was like, no, this isn't the right thing. So I worked through it with Claude co-work, and here is the chapter brief. And then here are the outline amendments because we reworked it.
Huh? And you
So
have
it was
a whole little log of how this
Yes.
thing evolved.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Which has been incredibly helpful for my brain because, like I said earlier, my brain moves really quickly and things evolve very quickly. And when you're trying to write a linear book, right, that most people read in chapters in sequence, I shouldn't say that. Many people, well, the publishing industry has made it important for us to have chapters in sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Although many of us don't even read that way or think that way. That's a topic for a different conversation. But because I have to do this, right, in order to get my work out, this is part of what's been so generative. It's actually generative to me because when I was reading the chapter, I'm like, no, this is not what I want for the chapter brief. And a lot of it came from a recent session that I had where we were talking about anger, whether it was responsive or reactive in a woman's body. And I had the phrase clean anger, which implies a value judgment, clean, right? Which is not actually what I wanted to say. So I went back through and restructured the chapter brief because I don't want any words that even implicitly imply a value judgment like clean. Like if there's clean anger, then there would be dirty anger. No, that's not what I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an interesting thought. First off, this is just amazing, and I freaking love it. But
Good.
and the old school, new school, you just said it. So you essentially were saying I'm doing all this great stuff, and but I'm being forced to put it into chapter one, chapter two, because that's how they. And it was interesting how you actually kept refining what you meant, and basically you came down to I'm being forced to write the old school layout of a book, right? Well, you're using this AI tool to make a great interactive, very controlling, understanding what the thing is. What if part of what you publish is the AI agent for the book that lets that's way better and bigger than just this print? And I don't mean this in a bad way. I mean that
No.
the medium
Yeah.
is printed in. You know what I mean? You've
Yeah, I
gone through all
do.
this beautiful organizational and structure and tone. You know what I mean? It seems to
Yeah.
me like that there's two products that come out of this. One would be the static printed old school, what the publishers are happy about, and then there's this whatever this new thing is. It's a
Yes.
An interactive
yeah, and
experience that
Yeah.
queries
it
where the
is
person is
right
Yeah.
and
and
is
then
reined
presents
in
the
by
stuff in
only
the
yeah.
optimal order.
Yes,
Yep.
and its focus is just the book with just her tone, and maybe even another layer would be okay. There's the her version release of it, right? And then once that release is out in the world, and other people can interact and question and tweak and maybe create version two. That's how the next book comes out. The
So
next
that's,
book is the
yeah.
now this one's been alive for 2 years and we have crowd
Yeah.
input,
Yeah.
yada yada.
So that's the question earlier. Am I worried about AI training on my book? This is the answer. No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I
right.
want this information out there. I hope that people take it and learn from it and use it in their own ways of being.
Right.
That's my greatest hope, right? That's not the motivation for a lot of people when they're developing products, right? They want,
Oh,
and
right.
and no shade on that at all,
Nope.
right?
That's a
But my
good tactic.
motivations are a little different.
Yeah. Well, that is exactly right. Your intent is to share the openly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then in this product that we're and there are other environments where that doesn't work, right? IP
Right.
stuff like that, right? But this is,
I
I
mean,
mean, just this is
yeah.
amazing. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, thanks. No, I think what you're touching on too is the relationship that I'm having with these tools that I'm choosing. Like, I'm actively choosing my relationship with these tools,
Right.
is part of the design of not only the book, but what comes after the book and all of my body of work.
Yeah, these are the brushes for your piece of art.
Right.
Wow.
Well, thanks, McD. I'm glad that you found some
Oh, this
tantalizing
hits. This
information.
hits.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I gotta say, okay, I know we're short on time, but all right, very high level. I'm old school, on the way out of my career, if you will. Am I ever going to retire kind of world, right? And I'm always on the treadmill, keeping up with the tech. And now this AI stuff is coming. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just like, bleh, right? Until now, this the way you said, you and I have very similar thinking thoughts and styles and yada yada, and having this tool do the things that I need help with is I mean, I'm not a book words writer obviously person, so that part, but it's the bigger picture of how you're using these tools, how you took your mental ideas from a physical space into these. It's just that's amazing, and I really it's given me a lot more interest in wanting to let it invade my life a little more, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, it is a choice. My husband is the state director for an organization called Green Latinos, which is a environmental justice organization. And a lot of the projects that he's working on right now are about data centers and how much pollution, how much resource take. So, I mean, there's a lot to consider when we're using these tools. And yeah, I think creating a relationship with the tool set is very important and based on your own values and what is motivating and important to you.
Well, and also what's important is showing them used correctly and how they can be beneficial. And what you've done here is a perfect example perfect example of when it's all done right and done together in a cognitive way that, we're paying attention to. It's it's got a lot of room for potential, really.
Yeah. So I have 9 principles that I've developed out of this workflow. I'm just gonna tell you that I can send them via email to Susan, and she can send them out to all that came and all that signed up. And I think that we've touched on many of them. So yeah, I'm really happy we got a chance to do all of this. We have 2 more minutes. If there's any other questions or any place in the demo that I could go into that you'd like
What
to
is your
see.
continuity log? Is a question in chat.
Oh yeah. Thanks. Let's go to the continuity log. Oh, and I do want to show you, Susan, after the versioning problem and how I've come around that with Confluence. Because one thing Claude will do is just take out wide swaths of something and put it somewhere else, and I don't always want that. The continuity log is a way that I keep my positioning documents, case studies, writing instructions, all of it together in a document on Confluence so that there's continuity across the book. So like one of the artifacts that I've created is what's called a somatic survival loop. And I've defined what that is and how it shows up in the body. And so this continuity log helps me know every time it's referenced in my book and where it's referenced and how it's talked about and why it's introduced in that way. So again, my neurodivergent brain would never be able to, like, that would literally take me weeks to go through back everything I've written and be like, okay, where did I talk about the somatic survival loop? Did I say it in a way that fits what I'm talking about in context? How many times have I mentioned it, right? AI is helping me keep track of all of that.
These page numbers are hurting my head. Page
Awesome.
6,500,000.
Oh, yeah. I have a lot of work that I've done. Yep. So does that explain the continuity log to whoever?
Stephanie.
Yeah,
Stephanie?
thank you.
You're welcome.
Or actually, I guess one thing, is it difficult to get it to find every place that you've mentioned it? Is that an easy thing to set up?
It's a very easy thing to set up, yeah. As long as you're referencing the folder or the structures that you have outlined for whatever project you're working on, it takes some time, right? So it will work for 20 minutes in order to get there, but it's 20 minutes, not 2 weeks.
Okay, thanks.
Right.
Yeah.
Where does the stuff that you put in Confluence live in the digital universe?
This is my own private
account,
wiki page, account, Confluence. I also have a Trello board, right?
Nice.
Like, so I subscribed to Atlassian for their product set.
Okay.
So it's in a private cloud, basically.
Yeah.
So that's as secure as.
I was about to say, nice security angle. Yeah.
Yeah.
As secure as it is secure.
As secure as the cloud is, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, we are 2 minutes over. If you have follow-up information, Daniella's in LinkedIn. Where would you want, if somebody wants to reach out to you?
That's fine. LinkedIn is great. Yeah, I feel like that would be a good place for us to connect.
This has been so eye-opening and so helpful.
Jennifer, you're on mute if you're trying to talk.
Thank you. I'm sorry we came in late, but we are really enjoying what we're seeing so far. And Susan, it's okay if I talk to Susan more about this.
Yeah.
Later. Okay. Great. I'm sorry.
No, we're good. I'm so glad you were able to come.
Though. Wonderful
great.
stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Amazing.
Yeah, this is
Well,
really
thank you, everyone.
been fantastic.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, Daniela,
Bye.
this has been
Bye.
incredible. Next
Thank
month,
you.
we are likely to do a set yourself to be unstuck in summer with Jennifer Navarrete.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
So she wants to do something like a beehive where we come with an intention and then we help each other with our intention.
Aw,
It sounds fun. That'll
beautiful.
be the first Friday in June.
Busy bees.
June.
Okay.
June.
I know, right?
That's
Happy
adorable.
May, you guys.
Can't wait. Bye.
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 Yeah, Daniela.
Yeah, of course.